ceasefire is over. The bombs are falling again. Now, officials around Trump have given America's renewed campaign against Iran an extraordinary nickname, Operation Bitch Slap, as the White House prepares for a conflict that could last far longer than first expected. Diplomacy remains on the table, but war is back in the room. Trump says the ceasefire is over. Now, behind closed doors, his team reportedly has a new name for America's renewed military campaign against Iran, Operation Bitch Slap. Informal, provocative, and designed to send a message, it reflects a White House preparing for days or even weeks of strikes if Tehran refuses to back down. According to reports, US President Donald Trump is prepared for a prolonged military campaign against Iran if Tehran continues attacking commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz and expands its regional missile strikes. Sources familiar with internal discussions told the New York Post that some administration officials have informally begun referring to the renewed offensive as Bitch Slap, a colloquial nickname intended to signal a painful but decisive response rather than an official military operation. The reported code name follows Trump's increasingly aggressive rhetoric after he declared the 60-day ceasefire and the subsequent memorandum of understanding with Iran effectively over.
We just hit them very hard, and I'd say we hit them 20-1. Every time they hit us, we're going to hit them 20. And we did it last night. It did a little something today, but it was really retribution for last night. They hit actually 3 boats, not 2. And when they hit, we hit back much harder.
Are we returning to a full-scale military conflict, sir?
I don't know. I don't know. We'd win it very quickly. It's another way of doing it. We have many ways we can win, but we've already won militarily. They have very little. They have very little left, and they want to make a deal so badly. They called a little while ago. They want to make a deal so badly. I just don't know if they're worthy of making a deal. I don't know that they're going to honor the deal. That's the problem.
If they want to make a deal, why do you think they attacked commercial vessels?
Because they're sort of crazy, to be honest with you. They're sort of crazy. They're a little bit out of control, but they want to make a deal. Badly.
According to officials, the duration of the campaign will depend entirely on Iran's next move. While Trump has repeatedly said he still prefers the conflict to end quickly, sources close to the White House say he has made it clear that if Iran continues firing on ships or attacking American interests, Washington will respond with even greater military force. Washington claims the latest strikes targeted around 90 Iranian military facilities, including missile and drone launch sites, Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps command centers, air defense systems, radar installations, and logistics infrastructure. Trump has also warned that future options remain on the table, including renewed blockades and strikes against critical Iranian infrastructure. Officials familiar with internal deliberations say Trump is making decisions largely on instinct rather than through lengthy consultations, giving himself maximum flexibility between expanding military operations and returning to diplomacy if Tehran changes course. Meanwhile, the New York Post has reported that Israel has signaled that it is prepared to join future American military operations if requested. Sources in Jerusalem said Israel has already demonstrated its willingness to stand alongside the United States and would be ready to do so again should the conflict escalate further. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz also declared that the Israel Defense Forces are prepared to strike Iran for a third time, and with even greater force if necessary.
The IDF is alert and ready to renew the campaign, to achieve renewed air superiority, and to strike. Blue and white in Iran to remove threats, even for the third time. If we succeed in returning, we will return with even greater strength.
However, Israeli officials believe Tehran is currently avoiding direct attacks on Israel, preferring instead to focus its retaliation on American military assets across the region. Despite the military escalation, diplomatic channels have not been completely abandoned. Trump has left open the possibility of renewed negotiations through senior officials, including Vice President J.D. Vance, Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, and Jared Kushner, should Iran decide to return to the negotiating table. Iran's week-long funeral ceremonies for former Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei entered their third day on July 6th, with hundreds of thousands of mourners gathering across Tehran in a display that combined public mourning with increasingly explicit calls for revenge against the United States and Israel. Crowds filled Tehran's streets, waving Iranian flags, beating their chests, and accompanying the vehicle carrying Khamenei's coffin as it entered the funeral procession route from the Imam Khomeini Grand Mosala. Many mourners had traveled from across Iran to pay their final respects to the leader who ruled the country for 37 years before he was killed, along with several members of his family, in the opening US-Israeli airstrike on February 28th. For Iran's leadership, the ceremonies are serving not only as a farewell, but also as a demonstration of political continuity and state resilience, projecting the message that the institutions built under Khamenei remain intact as power transitions to his successor. However, alongside the mourning, anti-American and anti-Israeli rhetoric became increasingly prominent. Footage from the procession showed mourners carrying banners reading "Kill Trump," with one banner depicting a bullet passing through the name of US President Donald Trump. Other placards displayed photographs of US Vice President J.D. Vance, US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, alongside the warning, "There will be blood." According to Fars News, crowds gathering in Tehran were described under the headline, "Everyone has come carrying the red flags of revenge." Those red banners carried powerful religious symbolism. Across Tehran's Grand Mosala, mourners waved red flags bearing the historic Shiite slogan, "Ya Latharat al-Hussein," O Avengers of Hussein. Alongside it appeared a newly coined slogan, "Ya Latharat al-Khamenei," O Avengers of Khamenei. The phrase adapts one of Shiite Islam's most significant historical calls for vengeance, linked to the 680 AD killing of Imam Hussein at Karbala, to the death of Iran's former supreme leader, framing his assassination as a cause demanding retribution. Reuters reported that soldiers, seminary students, and ordinary civilians prayed together inside the Imam Khomeini Grand Mosala, while crowds outside waved flags promising revenge against America. Elsewhere during the procession, videos showed demonstrators burning US and British flags, while chants against Washington and Israel echoed through the streets. Iranian authorities have announced that Khamenei's remains will continue a week-long journey through the Shiite holy cities of Qom, Najaf, and Karbala, before his burial in Mashhad on July 9th, home to Iran's holiest shrine. Mourners also signed messages on the walls of the Grand Mosala during Khamenei's funeral.
I wrote I came here, but you were not here, Aga John. A few years ago, when I was 17 years old, it was Ramadan month. We came to Bait and said prayers standing behind Aga. Now years passed and I didn't have the opportunity to see him again. People have written about longing, about bravery and revenge. We hope Aga's blood doesn't remain unanswered. I feel brave when seeing these words. People have come to themselves, they support each other, they just realized who they have lost, a leader of the nation. And Aga, when Aga died, I felt if my own father has died again.
The ceremonies are expected to culminate with another major public gathering in Tehran's Freedom Square, where Khamenei's coffin will again be displayed. Meanwhile, Iran's military leadership has also vowed that the country will continue pursuing justice over Khamenei's killing. Speaking on the second day of public funerals held for Ayatollah Khamenei and his martyred family members, Major General Amir Hatami said,
"Those who committed this crime must know that the nation of Iran and all of us will never cease in our pursuit of and demand for justice. We will not let go of them. And this is a definitive decision that we will follow through on until we achieve results."
As funeral ceremonies continue, the combination of state-organized mourning, revolutionary symbolism, and increasingly public calls for revenge underscores the political and security tensions surrounding Iran's leadership transition, even as diplomatic uncertainty with Washington and the risk of renewed regional escalation remain unresolved.